Hey Adam.
Hi Paul, how's it going, man?
I have an excellent idea.
An excellent idea, you say?
What if we used egg shakers to practice polyrhythms?
Egg shakers? How unexpected. Boo!
3 against 2. 4 against 3. 5 against 4. 5 against 3. 5 against 4. 5 against 3.
So recently I attended this event called Gearhead University at the music superstore Thomann in Treppendorf, Germany. It's a big conference for music YouTubers and instrument manufacturers and the like. My friend Paul Davids and I didn't spend our time checking out sweet guitar gear. No, we spent our time figuring out how to juggle egg shakers polyrhythmically. Now, neither of us can really juggle, that's obvious, but we are musicians and we, in theory, have a decent enough understanding of coordination and rhythm. In theory, anyway. Basically, the idea was to turn the sound of shakers shaking, like, for example, a 3/2 polyrhythm, into kind of a dance that's shared between two people. In this 3/2 polyrhythmic juggle, the black egg is thrown 3 times in the same amount of time it takes for the white egg to be thrown 2 times. So why did we do this? Well, first of all, it was a fun little game, but second of all, it ended up being an extraordinarily useful means of practicing both rhythm and coordination. And so I think this exercise will be very useful for a large number of people. To get started with this, you first have to visualize the polyrhythmic juggles. And to do that, you need a pen and paper. Draw 2 lines on a piece of paper. Divide one line into 3 parts, this represents the black egg, and the other line into 2 parts, the white egg. Every time you get to another segment, throw an egg shaker. This is an easy way of visualizing when each egg shaker needs to be thrown. If you want, you can use the phrase, "nice cup of tea," to remember what a 3 against 2 polyrhythm sounds like. It kind of breaks down like this. First, I throw both eggs at the same time. Paul then throws the black egg back to me, then the white, and then I throw the black egg back to Paul to complete the cycle. You might notice that we ended in a different position from where we started, with the eggs on a diagonal from one another. This is because the total number of throws within the polyrhythmic juggle is odd. 3 + 2 = 5 throws. So we're actually gonna need to learn a second cycle in order to fully resolve this polyrhythmic juggle. Cycle 2 starts with us throwing both eggs diagonally, then I throw the black egg, then Paul throws the white, then the black, then we're back to where we started. 3 black eggs thrown in the same cycle as 2 black eggs. Polyrhythmic juggling, baby.
3 against 2.
While the other YouTubers were socializing and doing real work, Paul and I were off in the corner figuring all of this stuff out.
I mean, the party is over there. And these guys are over here.
Just you wait, Mary Spender, just you wait. All the cool kids will be juggling polyrhythms soon enough.
We almost have 3 against 2. Eventually get 7 against 11. It's not that hard. It's not that hard.
We then started working on a 4 against 3 polyrhythmic juggle, which works in a similar way. The black egg is going to be thrown 4 times to the white eggs 3 times. To visualize this, we'll draw 2 lines and then divide each line into 4 and 3 segments. You notice that a couple of these segments start close to one another. When we get to these segments in the juggle, we'll throw those eggs at kind of a quicker pace. You can use the phrase, "pass the bread and butter," to remember what a 4 against 3 polyrhythm sounds like. First, I throw both eggs, then Paul throws black, then white. This motion happens quickly. White should arrive in my hands very soon after black. Going back to a normal pace, I then throw black, then white, and very soon after, Paul throws black at the quicker pace. We then end up in a diagonal at the end of the first cycle, like we did with the 3/2 polyrhythm. So the second cycle has a different coordination pattern, but the same rhythm. That was kind of a new and interesting thing for us to get used to. Polyrhythmic juggling, baby.
4 against 3.
Paul and I had so much fun practicing these polyrhythms on the Thomann campus that eventually other YouTubers became interested and wanted to try it too. Because there are 2 musicians playing the game, every polyrhythm will take 2 cycles to fully resolve. So there are 2 separate cycles to feel in your body. This was an interesting and new thing to discover because even though we play music with other musicians, it's never like we need another musician present to actually play a rhythm. Juggling versus performing polyrhythms relies on another person to play the rhythm with you, so you're engaged in a different way. We eventually moved on to harder ones, like for example, 5 against 4. By the way, when you're first practicing these polyrhythms, don't worry about practicing them in time. That will come. Your first priority should be coordination, figuring out roughly when you throw each egg. This can be visualized by dividing 2 lines into 5 and 4 equal segments. If you'd like, you can use the phrase, "I'm looking for a home to buy," to remember what a 5 against 4 polyrhythm sounds like. This one starts by throwing both at the same time, then black, and quickly after that, white, then returning to a normal pace, black, then white, then black, then white, and quickly after, black. We end on the diagonal, just like the others, and then cycle 2 begins. Polyrhythmic juggling, baby.
5 against 4.
Even though this seems complicated, it kind of ends up feeling like one of those hand games that you play in middle school. A couple of days after Gearhead University, my friend Mary and I played the game in a cafe outside of Thomasskirche, the church where Bach worked in Leipzig, annoying all of the people around us. Totally worth it though. I'm sure Bach would have been very proud. By the way, this is why we've been juggling so close to one another. It's because when you juggle from far away, there's too much latency introduced. There's too much of a delay between when you throw the eggs and when you actually hear the eggs hit the other person's hands. Fun fact.
5 against 4.
So far, the polyrhythms that we've been practicing are what we might call super particular polyrhythms, which refers to ratios that have consecutive integers. The numbers are one after the other. What this means in a practical sense is that we will always be alternating black and white eggs. The pattern that these super particular polyrhythms set up in our hands and in our bodies is one of strict alternation, catching and throwing left, right, etc. Polyrhythms which are not super particular are called super partiant polyrhythms, which is a particularly piquant piece of jargon. A possible super partiant polyrhythm is 5 against 3. When you use these rhythms, you break that cycle of alternating. So the same egg will have to move twice on the same side of your body, which honestly kind of feels weird once you're used to super particular juggling. 5 against 3 starts with me throwing both eggs. Paul then throws the black egg, then the white egg, and then I throw the black egg very quickly afterwards. Then, Paul has to throw the black egg immediately back after getting it, which ruins the nice pattern of alternation that we had in our bodies. As soon as I get that black egg, I then quickly throw the white egg, and then finally throw the black egg. At the end of this cycle, you might notice that Paul has both of the eggs and we're not on the diagonal. This is because the numbers involved in this polyrhythm, 5 and 3, add up to an even number of throws, 8 throws. Cool. Polyrhythmic juggling, baby.
5 against 3.
It's even, so it means it always comes back. If it's odd, it means it ends up at the other person's hand. So you have to do 2 cycles when the one is odd and the one is even to end up with the same number.
Does that make any sense?
No, I wasn't listening.
Clear so far? Maybe? You might notice that so far in this video, we have not talked about any technical music theory stuff like tuplets or time signatures or anything like that, nor have we talked about math or calculating polyrhythms or any of the kinds of things that a polyrhythmic nerd like myself would want to talk about. We could say like 5 against 3 is like playing every third quintuplet in a measure of 3/4, but we haven't. Instead, it's a lot more about coordination and trusting that the other person will throw the egg when you expect them to. When I was teaching this to other YouTubers, I didn't mention anything about tuplets or whatever. I just taught the moves, how and roughly when to throw each egg. It was honestly much more along the lines of choreography.
They're doing choreography.
Sometimes I wonder why dancers haven't adopted a rhythmic language of music. Dancers don't think in time signatures and quarter notes and tuplets, things like that, which is strange to me, because they deal with the exact same thing musicians do, rhythm and time. But this juggling exercise showed that you don't actually need the precise terminology. You just need to kind of trust that another person's body will move with yours in roughly the same order. We basically found that your body naturally adjusts to what the rhythm is supposed to be based purely on coordination, which is fascinating to me. No math, no calculation, no counting, just rough approximations get you into the embodied groove. We always found ourselves bouncing, which helped a lot with getting our bodies to feel when to throw and when to catch the eggs. This lack of counting, though, could only get us so far, really. For the more complicated ones, we really needed to start counting. The more complicated ones, like for example, 6 against 5. God, that's hard. It's hard. So first of all, we know that 6 against 5 is super particular. We're always going to be alternating left, right, left, right. But the question is, when exactly are we going to throw which egg? If you're interested in the math for figuring out any kind of polyrhythm, check out my 7-Eleven video. But the breakdown for this 6 against 5 bad boy is like this. Every time we throw a black egg, we count to 5. The white egg is thrown on a different number in that count every time it's thrown. So the first time it's thrown on a 1,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Then the white egg is thrown on a 2,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Then 3,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
then 4,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
then 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
By the end, we're on the diagonal, and then we have to perform our second cycle.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
What about with the eggs?
Oh yeah, the actual eggs?
Yeah, you gotta do the actual eggs.
Oh, okay. Let's do the actual eggs. We're doing it with real eggs this time. 2 against 3? Oh my god. Evidently we're not ready for that.
So, if you're feeling ambitious, I think it's time to issue another social media challenge. If you and your exceptionally cool and nerdy friends like Paul Davids and myself learn how to polyrhythmically juggle, be sure to post a video of you guys doing it on Instagram with the hashtag polyrhythmic juggling. And also be sure to tag me at its_Adam Neely. I'll be reposting everything on my story. I'd like to thank Thomann for inviting me back to Gearhead University this year, and I'd like to thank all the Thomann crew. Those guys are awesome. I also want to thank Paul Davids for working all of this stuff out with me. If you haven't checked out his videos yet, you are in for a treat. His channel is a wealth of knowledge for guitar and music, and his videos are so well put together, so definitely go watch them if you have the chance. I also want to thank the sponsors of Gearhead University. I didn't really play any of your gear in this video, but it's thanks to you that the idea of polyrhythmic juggling is now a thing. And I think that's something very special, so thank you.